Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Friday, it's November 15th. Today is day 406 since the Hamas attacks on the south of Israel on October 7th last year. Updates of the last day or past days in Gaza in terms of the ongoing atrocities there and in other parts of the Middle East. Yesterday on Thursday, an Israeli airstrike caused a huge explosion and damaged a Doctors Without Borders clinic within a humanitarian zone. One of the things we worry about in Gaza is that there are humanitarian zones, but it seems that they're often not respected. The Israeli Defense Forces claimed that it had issued warnings. Attacks in humanitarian zones are a violation of international humanitarian law. Just a reminder, I give these daily updates and I have every day for the last 406 days. And for me, they're a daily prayer. So I'll give this update and then at the end, I'll give a little update about what's happening here as we're launching the End Still We Rise Summit in Jericho in the occupied Palestinian territories. Hospitals in North Gaza are running out of food for patients and healthcare workers amid relentless shelling, according to officials that are serving medical professionals. Israeli investigators are asking the question of whether or not Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's aides might have altered phone call records from October 7th of a year ago. The inquiry is highly sensitive in Israel. There are questions of whether or not Netanyahu knew prior to the Hamas attack, and that could be crucial to his political future. Nearly 90 US lawmakers have sent a letter to President Biden in late October of this year calling for sanctions on two of Israelis' ultra-nationalist ministers over incentivizing violence by Israeli settlers against Palestinian civilians. So that's the US in response to what's happening in the occupied territories. A Human Rights Watch report released yesterday accuses Israel of using evacuation orders to pursue the deliberate and massive forced displacement of civilians in Gaza, concluding that its actions may amount to war crimes, crimes against humanity, and at least in buffer zones and security corridors, ethnic cleansing. That's a Human Rights Watch report. The EU Foreign Policy Chief, Joseph Borrell, proposed that the bloc suspend a political dialogue with Israel, saying that there are serious concerns about how possible breaches of international humanitarian law have happened in Gaza, but diplomats say the proposal is unlikely to be approved by the 27 EU states. An entire generation will be denied the right to education in Gaza if the UN-Aid Refugee Association, UNRWA, is to collapse, the agency's head has warned yesterday, according to Reuters. On Wednesday, a top Iranian official held talks with Lebanese leaders on the ongoing Hezbollah-Israel war, a Lebanese media outlet reported. U.S. Ambassador Lisa Johnson gave a ceasefire draft to Lebanon's parliament speaker. So the U.S. has a draft ceasefire agreement on the table with Lebanon. The parliament speaker has been leading the talks representing Hezbollah. An Israeli strike on a civil defense center in Lebanon's city of Baalbek earlier this week killed 12 emergency rescue workers, including the city's civil defense chief. The Lebanese health ministry said 8 others were killed in a separate attack on the city. Prime Minister Netanyahu's aide, Ron Dermer, told Trump earlier this week that Israel is rushing to advance a ceasefire deal with Lebanon and that this would be a gift to the president-elect, that's President Trump, when he comes to office. And Israel's military has expanded its ground operation in South Lebanon. Israeli forces continue to launch airstrikes in the south suburbs of Beirut yesterday and today. That's the 3rd and 4th consecutive days of attacks, respectively. And the head of Lebanon's largest Christian party yesterday urged Hezbollah to surrender its weapons to prevent further death and destruction. Residents of South Lebanon have said that there's nowhere safe anymore after a series of Israeli strikes were launched, warning residential buildings or houses hosting displaced people. Israeli ministers are insisting on retaining the capacity to strike Lebanon at any moment as a part of ceasefire conditions, according to Foreign Minister of France. Several diplomats have said it's all but impossible to convince Hezbollah or Lebanon to accept that demand. The UN will bolster its peacekeeping mission in Lebanon in order to support the Lebanese army if a truce is agreed upon, said the UN peacekeeping chief yesterday, adding that the mission would not directly enforce a ceasefire. The Israel-Hezbollah conflict has cost Lebanon $8.5 billion in damage and losses thus far. Israel has struck Damascus, Syria yesterday on Thursday. At least 15 people were killed, 16 others were injured. The Israeli military said it was targeting an Islamic Jihad center. And Israel's late October attack on Iran destroyed an active top-secret nuclear weapons research facility in Tehran, Israeli and US officials have reported. And Elon Musk met with Iran's UN ambassador on Monday, discussing diffusing tensions between Iran and the United States. It's believed that was on President-elect Trump's behalf, of course, adding that the meeting provided a workaround for Tehran to avoid sitting directly with a sitting US official. Today in Jericho, our And Still We Rise, our women's empowerment program launched our summit. There have been more than 100 people gathered. Our summit will go through Sunday. Today is Friday. So more than 100 people. Today is men and women. Tomorrow and Sunday will be women only. Today, the Orthodox Archbishop Atala Hana, Catholic Patriarch Bishop Shamali spoke alongside Anglican priest Father Fadi Diab. There were many, many women who have been a part, including our Palestinian leadership team, Rafat Kassis of Kairos, Palestine. These are the guests who have been men who've been participating today. And I'll tell you more tomorrow and in the next day, but the morning was launched by Her Excellency Dr. Varsan Akabikian, who is the Armenian Palestinian Christian. She's a foreign minister for the Palestinian Authority. She's a friend to Churches for Middle East Peace, an advocate for Palestinian Christian presence and the church in Palestine. She's also, another speaker is also the first female judge in the ecclesiastical court of the Evangelical Lutheran Church, Judge Scarlett Bashara. They will both be speaking later on this afternoon. We're so grateful. It's been an incredible time. We had 2 buses that left this morning from Bethlehem, others that came from Nazareth, some came from Jerusalem. So pray for our time together the next few days. And Still We Rise is a women's empowerment program of CMEP with the desire to create safe space for women, to build community, invite transformation, and to take action together, where Christians from all backgrounds, internationally and in the Holy Land and around the Middle East, can come together in community, elevating the voices of women committed to peace and justice, pursuing peace within ourselves and transformation individually and in the Middle East. Our summit themes include spirituality, family, trauma and resilience, human rights and advocacy, and collective liberation. Nelson Mandela said after the fall of apartheid, our own liberation is not complete until Palestinians are free. And we believe that to be true. No one is truly free until everyone is free. So might Christ go before us to that end. In his name, amen.